CMMS Radio talks about CMMS Radio. Today we are here with Andy Gager, that's AMG International. Andy, management. How are you, my brother?
The process.
I'm doing really well, Greg. How about yourself,
journey a success?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We got through the Labor Day holiday. All those fine people that built this country and worked so hard. So a belated happy Labor Day to everyone. I'm gonna try to get this episode out quick, so hopefully it hits this week or early next week. So anyway, yeah, doing good. First and foremost, a lot of people are going to be seeing that I'm talking about SMRP. It's coming up October 6th through 9th, 2025, Fort Worth, Texas. One thing I want everybody to know, grab your attendance, register now, because you can use this discount to save 10%. It's CMMS 10, and you can use it up until the 5th of September. I think it expires the next day. So get in there and get to this show, because you get to see my friend Andy Gager and a lot of other real deal pros that support and participate in this particular conference for a lot of different reasons. But one of them is the sense of community is different than a lot of the other ones, because this is the body. This is the body of knowledge and all the people that are CMRPs, CMRTs, and we want all these different plant managers and maintenance managers going there to learn in these workshops. So Andy, two things. One, what is your favorite thing about SMRP? And you can kind of bunch up a bunch of stuff. And then two, I want to know what you're presenting on, because you got a couple of different sessions going.
I do. All right, so let's start with the first one. Why I like SMRP. Wasn't too many years ago, somebody put a survey out there, and the survey was, which of the four options they gave you, which was your most favorite conference? And I immediately responded, SMRP. I mean, that's a given. It's what I like about it is there is no sales gimmicky going on in these sessions. They're not trying to sell. Look at us. Look at all the wonderful things that we do, right? Versus, this is how we address issues, and this is how we, solve some issues, or here's some case studies. Versus where some of the other conferences are just sell, and a lot of times they're selling the person, not selling, the services or the solutions. Maybe that's a better way to say it, right? Yeah. I am, and I have been for several years, I have been on the committee that actually reviews these presentations. And I just did the last one just a couple of days ago. And all of us on the committee, we will push back. If the presentation comes across as a sales gimmicky presentation to say, hey, buy our product, you're rejected. We'll reject the presentation. So that's one reason why I like it. Two, you got some real heavy hitters, as you just alluded to just a moment ago. You have some heavy industry experts that come to the show and present, and they're approachable, and you can talk to them and say, here's one of the issues, and they will be more than happy to spend some time and talk to you, share some examples or some suggestions, right? When you go to the exhibition halls, there's some really good booths set up there. I do encourage people to go meander around, visit all these different booths, see what the services or the products are that they are offering, and how does that best match to your wants, needs, and desires. So I just, and the other thing is, when you've mentioned CMRP and CMRT, those are actually certified accreditations. I mean, they are recognized globally by a certifying body to say, yes, you had to study and you had to pass an exam, right, to become a certified maintenance reliability practitioner or maintenance technician. So there's dozens of reasons why this is one of my favorite. And I've been going to it for, oh gosh, I hate to say this, over 20 years now.
Well, and one of the overarching themes about this, and I've talked to a lot of people about it of late, I'm putting out episodes to promote the event, It's going to be my first time at the event, but the idea behind being a net contributor and people actually wanting to talk about what you're dealing with, what you're trying to solve, what have you learned lately, what have you seen that's working, what are you
Hmm.
seeing that's just not working that was supposed to work. And you're going to have a lot of those people, not just in the workshops and the speaking sessions, but you're going to have it in the booths. I know a lot of the different people at a lot of the different companies that are going to be there. Um, Several of which are mutual friends of ours. So I encourage people to do the same thing. I'm going to be there doing some special stuff. I've got a special production that's happening, and
Yes, you do.
I'm now allowed to say what it is. So uh, we're calling it CMMS Radio Presents Friends of Nano. So I'm going to be there alongside Nano Precise, and I'm rolling through a lot of different people on episode recordings. I'm going to have a full recording rig. My dear friends at Reliability X are bringing that. George Williams, shout out to you. And we'll
Hmm.
have a bunch of logos displayed, but then I'm going to also have other people that might not be part of the sponsorship just coming in, telling stories. What have they learned in their workshops? Who are they talking to that's got some interesting takes on what they're dealing with challenge wise within their maybe maintenance culture or something like that. It's not all about technology, although that's a thing. So that's going to be really, really fun. I'm not ready to rattle off all the names that are going to be participating as sponsors yet. I'm going to do a standalone on that, but it's all full. So
Yeah.
every sponsor took a spot. I can't take any more on, but I'm going to interview other people. It's going to be a blast. Now, what about your workshops and sessions? You have two of them, right?
I have two sessions. I'm not doing a workshop this year. But in the years past, I have done half day and full day, actually even a 2 day workshops. But this year I'm not because, uh, again, I volunteered to be a sessions moderator. So I'll be sitting in a lot of, well, whatever track I'm assigned to, those are the sessions I'll be sitting in on. But the two presentations I'll be doing are actually back to back, which is kind of nice in one way. The first session is going to be on the true cost of maintenance. I've done this presentation uh, a number of times actually, and this always seems to really be a hot topic with the audience. These are typically standing room only sessions. So the first one is the true cost of maintenance. The cost that we don't, really well. It's the cost that management or others don't see. What they primarily focus on is, what is our average hourly rate of a technician, or what is our average hourly fully burdened rate for a technician. What they don't see are or are the inefficiencies that we have in every organization. The travel time, the looking for parts, right? The meetings, the never-ending meetings that we sit in, right? And all these other things that chip away at our utilization, right? That impact our efficiency and our effectiveness. And that's what the whole purpose of that session is going to be about. Is look, let's peel a lot of that stuff back and see what is the true cost to the organizations to maintain these money making machines. And it
Yeah.
it it truly is an aha moment. Okay.
Good.
The nice thing
Good.
about this session is the attendees will actually have a takeaway from it. There's a spreadsheet that I show them. If you want it, I share it with anybody. I've been sharing it for years. It's not proprietary. It's a simple sheet. I give it away. I've given it away thousands of times. Well, maybe not thousands, but I've given it away at least 1,000. So that's one of the nice things I like about this presentation is you actually walk away with something that you can actually apply immediately to go back to your site and start crunching numbers. And what it does is it helps you build the business case for whatever improvement you would like to do. So that's a really key point on that one. Okay. The second session that's following that is MRO best practices, which is actually near and dear to my heart because a lot of my background has been in materials management. And a lot of organizations, they stick the MRO storeroom in the back corner of the facility. And I'm not going to go through all the different examples, right? It's
Yeah.
just the inventory accuracy is very low, and there's not a facility in the world that I don't go into. There is not a facility in the world that I've gone into over the last 23 or 24 years that doesn't have secret stashes of materials scattered around their facility or their campus. And One of the reasons is because the technicians have lost the confidence in the storeroom to have the right parts in the right quantities to the right specification. And that's another big thing, right? Are we aligned with our procurement department, right? Are they going after the cheapest price because that's their key performance indicator, that's their metric, reduce costs, reduce inventories? Or are we looking at total cost of ownership, where we may actually spend a little bit extra money, but the equipment will last longer because we're purchasing higher quality components? So that's what that session is going to be talking about. Some of the best practices that every storeroom should have.
Nice, nice. So both useful things, and you're doing it in a way where people have information they can take back home, back to their shop, back to their company, and actually start working on it, which is really good. And there's going to be a lot of that at this particular conference. I want to change it up a little bit.
Yep.
So lately, and this might be a forever thing, there was a time when new things would come out, new terms, new ways of looking at things, slight change on a name, a naming convention. And now, everything's moving at hyper speed, and there's all kinds of stuff that just pops up, comes up. Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. I'm talking about like buzzwords, acronyms, all this kind of stuff. I like to call it hogwash and nonsense, but I do understand some of these things are really important and valuable and useful when it comes to software, when it comes to practice frameworks, all of this. But is there really just too much noise and too much focus around the typical things like digitization? I'm going to say AI, and I'm talking about, they're saying artificial intelligence, and a lot of these other things that seem to be just buzzworthy and get your attention type things. Is it too much? Have we gone too far? Have we forgotten about the basics? That's really what I'm asking about.
I once heard somebody say technology is great until you need it. And I thought that was just a classic line. And I've used it ever since I heard that because it's true. And we can overutilize technology thinking that it's going to solve all of our issues because that's what the salesperson told us it was going to do. And here's all right. So let me answer your question like this. Technology is moving at such a warp speed that our human skill set and competency can't keep up with those new changes. And what we're seeing out there, at least this is what I'm seeing, okay? What I'm seeing is the skill set isn't catching up to the rapid changes being made in technology to actually manage the technology or to actually apply the technology for its intended use. That's what I'm seeing in the industry. So have we overdone it? Yeah, I guess we have. Okay, but we have to understand that those organizations, those companies are in business to make money. So we have to understand that. But I'm not going to go. Here's one of my philosophies, particularly when I was a plant manager or when I was director of global sourcing. I clearly understand you're in the business to make money. Clearly understand that. Okay. But I am not in business to make you rich. Okay. So if you have a product that will help me, okay, I'm willing to listen to how is that going to benefit my organization? Okay. Don't come in here and say this is the new latest and greatest and everybody's doing it. And would have absolutely minimal impact on improving my operation. I'm not going to buy it. Okay. But with that said, we have to understand that, look, I don't care what technology you're using. We have to maintain the basic blocking and tackling of maintenance's best practices. And I'm not just going to pick on maintenance. I'm also going to be talking to operators as well, because we're in this thing together. So, basically how do operators get formally trained on operate their equipment, and maintenance technicians, how do we have the skill set to maintain and I refer to them as money making equipment.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's exactly what it is. That I used to say a long time ago, and it was when I was, selling software, but I was trying to always think about what's really happening in these environments rather than the software. And I often would say there's gold hiding in those assets. And what I meant was they make you money. And if you can find ways to assure less breakdown, more availability. I know that that's what that really meant at the time. I didn't know back then that I should be talking about it that way. Reliability is availability. And that's where that gold is. And if they're taken care of, which is always going to start with the basics, you can then get your people and process right to then leverage the technology properly. And there are no easy buttons. So I think we're all saying the same things and we keep saying it over and over because I think we have a concern that there's so much noise it's being suppressed and kind of quieted down. People don't focus on the basics enough, and that's concerning.
so let me just go back with an example. Around the world, every client that I work with who are on SAP, I ask them the same question. Is SAP a good word or a bad word? And I can tell you right now, the majority, whatever that is, 51% or whatever that majority is, say it's a bad word, right? They don't like SAP. And, there's all sorts of acronyms for SAP and what it stands for, right? But, the typical response is no, SAP sucks. And my response to that would be, no, SAP or any CMMS. I'm just using SAP as the example because that's the most prevalent in the organizations I work with. And it's not that SAP is a terrible CMMS system. Okay. In fact, it's a very good system, like a lot of these CMMS systems. Okay. It's a very good system. Okay. If it weren't, it wouldn't be as popular as globally.
Right.
What sucked was the way you were trained on how to use that tool properly into its full potential. And that's to your point with all this new technology. I can see that. Okay. I can see here's this latest and greatest bells and whistles, and you need to buy it because it's going to solve world hunger by Friday. And, lo and behold, 6 months down the road, we're sitting back saying, this isn't working. And chances are it does work. It's just we weren't properly trained. So, when I wrote capital project, when I wrote capital contracts, one of the clauses in the contract was you can come in. I want you to come in and train my operators and my maintenance technicians on how to operate and repair the equipment. But it doesn't end there. You need to prove to me competency in your training because you're going to walk out that door next week. And now you're going to leave this equipment to my operators and my maintenance technicians to fiddle around with and try to figure this out. So before you leave here, you need to prove to me that my operators and my maintenance technicians are competent with whatever this new equipment, technology, whatever the case may be. If it's not, I'm not in a position to make you I'm not willing to make you rich. In other words, I'm not going to continue to pay for you to come back time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think it does. And I think this is why, these kind of themes and generalized topics that keep coming up time and again, year after year, day after day, whatever the hell you want to call it, is because those are the things that matter. And we're not saying these other things aren't important, but you can't pick and choose. You got to have that foundation. So if we've got new technology, whether it's bringing in SAP or maybe they're bringing in a new module in SAP, or maybe it's one of the other bigger CMMSs that's true enterprise, it's a global organization, they're bringing in a new product. And we go through these trainings, we see these trainings being delivered that are kind of short, quick, kind of like checking boxes. And if we can just go just one extra step further and really solidify that, like you were just explaining, right? Let's prove out that our team is now almost certifiable. Ooh, that sounded kind of weird. They're actually qualified now to run with the ball, and then maybe you can do some check-ins periodically. Maybe you call it an in-service where they do some periodic training on new things that got released into that same platform. But that's where it all can start to go away. And I know for me, if I were using a new piece of software or some other piece of technology or some tool and I don't know what I'm doing, I'm probably pretty quickly going to go, man, this thing's a piece of junk, or yeah,
Yeah.
that system's
Yeah.
garbage. And it's just not the case. Now, if we're talking about it takes 16 clicks to create a sign or close out a work order or do something like that,
Right.
that's a little janky, but that does not mean if you do the work and go through the steps that you're not going to be able to create the data that you need to gather in that system and the schedules that you need. So that's a little bit of a slippery slope too. If the stuff doesn't work at all, I mean, then it's junk. But if you're just resistant to the change, that means somebody didn't handle the change management properly.
Yes. Sure.
And the people that aren't bought in and don't want to go on that ride, you have to find out why.
Oh yeah, the resistors.
Yeah,
So, have you ever heard of any organization changing the processes to support the new CMMS?
I have, and I think it's terrible
Right.
because,
That's sort of putting the cart before the horse, right?
yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm really glad you brought that up. So, you know, Brian Bieski,
Oh yeah.
and he's another real deal pro, just a pure monster in my view. Um, he'll tell you he's just a mechanic, but we were talking about this at a site visit where we got to tour an amazing facility, and then we did kind of a breakaway where we were going through some stuff and we got on this exact topic, how so many people will come in, whether they're technology companies, consultants, some other kind of whisperer that's coming in, and they
Mm-hmm.
know what they know,
Mm-hmm.
but they have very quickly and sometimes intentionally, maybe, I want to be gentle here, but I think it happens where they want to get whatever you're doing in your organization, however you work, they want to get it to match what they do and what they understand, which means they're skipping the understanding part. I believe most of the time, there might be a few exceptions, that technology, specifically technology, should meet the business where it is, where it's thriving. The exception would be if we can find an area where they are struggling, that this slight change that would meet the technology could have a major impact. But it's very risky when you talk about a business changing. A leopard can't change its spots. So if it moves the way it moves and it does the way it does, and you've got the right, let's say, the foundational elements, the behaviors, the technology should meet exactly that. It
It should
shouldn't be the other
supplement.
way around.
It should supplement, right?
Yes, augment.
So, like, yeah. So, look, any CMMS or any of these tools, all they are just tools to help you become more reliable.
Yeah,
I've never seen any of these things make you more reliable. They're just tools to help you become more reliable,
yes.
applied correctly, right? So,
Isn't that because reliability? So you have maintenance and reliability, two separate things. It is going to come down to behaviors. Behaviors come down to a culture where people are, we like to say, bought in. People are willing and want to be accountable. They want to do the right things when nobody's watching. That is what matters.
mm-hmm,
And the
mm-hmm,
technology supplements and augments that and gathers data. Sure, it can help keep you on schedule and let you know a few things. Yes, it can give you past, present, and future view into what's happening, what has been happening, provided you're standardized. We've talked about that. And you have good data collection that's contextual. So that's how it all comes together. I mean, we keep saying the same things over and over, and people need to slow down a little bit and realize that's what matters, right?
yes,
We
agreed.
love our technology when it's used right, which means it is first effective and second efficient, which would go to the processes that are happening within an organization, in a physical plant, on an oil rig, out on a, I don't know, a ship, whatever it is. I don't like using the word ship because people might think I said something else. But
Yeah. Well, ask any technician because just looking personally, I do a lot of stuff with woodworking, but
mhm.
ask any maintenance technician. It makes all the difference in the world when you have the right tools. And that's what we're talking about. Do we have the right tools to do our job?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think people that are going to SMRP out in Fort Worth, Texas, October 6th through 9th, should come and see you, come and talk to you, and talk to a bunch of our friends and a bunch of other people that we might not even know that are there to help, that want to talk about this exact same stuff. And they want to go, I hear what you're saying. Let's talk about it. Let's simplify that. But first, what are you doing? What are you doing now? What are you trying to achieve? Why do you think that's a problem? It is always about the problem. How do we solve it?
Well, look, first step, listen. That's the first step, is listen.
2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah. Yep. So
good stuff.
That's why we have these sound receptacles. Right?
That's what we need. It's how we get understanding. Ask good questions and then shut up and listen and understand. And if you don't, get clarification. Yeah,
exactly.
It's good stuff.
There you go.
Andy Gager, thank you, my friend, once again for being on CMMS Radio. See you in Texas.
Oh, Greg, you know how much I appreciate this time with you.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.